later than normal. However, I'm here. Hope is speaking. And I am toxic positivity. Yes, that is me. I am toxic positivity. I have truly rewired my brain to be positive. I have truly rewired my brain, my thoughts, my thinking, my actions to be positive. And some of my hopefuls were in the live and they were able to hear why I just am always positive and why I'm such a risk taker. Because I am. I am a risk taker. And I shared the story of how when I was in high school, I was grounded, but you can't get double grounded, right? So I snuck out and went to my prom, and little did I know, my father showed up, but I got teed off. So someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, your daddy's here. You need to go." And I grabbed my date. I took the pictures, which I still have, because if you don't have the pictures, it hasn't happened. And I left. And I shared that because it is about the risk. However, if you take the risk, assume that the risk is worth it and it will work in your favor. I'm not going to take a risk and say, but this will never work for me. No. I'm going to take the craziest risk and know it will work in my favor because for me it has. And I share that to say, maybe think about that. If you have that thought of, I've always wanted to move to Hawaii, I'm going to take the risk and do it. And believe that it's working in your favor. For yourself to take the risk and say, but it'll never work for me, that's ridiculous. Because that's setting yourself up for those thoughts that don't encourage that good outcome. Hi, Jessica. I'm excellent. I just came out of the pool and I said, I didn't go on live. So I have to come and share an enlightening message. Jessica, how are you feeling, by the way? Tell me the beauty in your healing journey in that way. When I ask about your healing journey, I want to hear the beauty of how you've healed, the beauty of what you've learned, and the beauty in this day. So I'm waiting for you to share that. Continue to like and share the live because I entitled this Toxic Positivity because I am. I am toxic positivity. I am always going to think of the best outcome, and I will always assume the best outcome will happen for me. I shared last night about when I had first moved to London, and a few days into living in London, this was 2008, I was walking down the street past a Dorchester and I heard a whole kerfuffle, and I turned to the side and it was Nelson Mandela being led into his car with a group of devotees and people asking for autographs. And in that moment, I said, this is why I took the risk. What's up, Retired Leo? What's up, Nikki Styled? Nice to see you again. And the fact is, if you take the risk, and this is why I entitled this Toxic Positivity, just assume it's going to work in your favor. And is it? How so? Please tell me how it's looking crazy. Is it looking crazy? Oh yeah, well, that's just what it is, and it's gonna keep increasing because it only gets better from here, baby. So I've taken a lot of risks, and I always say it works out for me because even when it doesn't work out how I expect it to work out, it has worked out for me. I have learned from something. I shared when I was ran over by a motorcycle in Buenos Aires, I learned to look both ways. Because the reason why I was ran over by the motorcycle in Buenos Aires when I crossed the street was because I didn't look both ways. And I can laugh about it. And I also got up and walked away. So when someone says, hey, be careful, what? I've already got ran over and I'm here. Okay, so when I was a flight attendant, I've always loved South America, and I love Buenos Aires because I knit. Yes, I'm fine and I knit. I know. Hold your horses. It gets better. Can you believe it? I am beautiful and I knit and I read. I know. I can't believe it too. So in Buenos Aires, Argentina produces a lot of wool. They have I love crocheting. That's how I first learned that art, because my grandmother taught me how to crochet. However, as a flight attendant, I would typically read or knit on the jump seat. So there were years that all I flew was Buenos Aires because I loved shopping in Buenos Aires. I loved the country. I loved the food. I loved the terrain. I just loved being there. And they have a knitting district. So there's an area in Buenos Aires where if you go towards this part of town, around the trees, there's crocheted and knit sweaters around the trunks of the trees. And this is how you know that you are in the knitting district. And yes, may mine rest in peace and power as well. So on all my layovers, and we had like a 2.5 day layover, I would go buy yarn. So if anyone knits, yarn can be upwards of $100 if you want cashmere yarn. However, because of the exchange rate, thank you, Fred. Thank you. It's always like this. That's why I titled this Toxic Positivity. Because of Buenos Aires and the US dollar exchange rate, I think the exchange was like 10 or 20 to 1. So I would buy all my yarn, my cashmere yarn, my Angora yarn, and on this layover, and I don't like cheap things. My mother always says, Hope, you are the most expensive kid. She says that. So what happened was that I went to the knitting district and I picked up a whole bunch of yarn. So much yarn that the shop owner asked me to be a distributor, which no, I don't want to be a distributor, but if I spent $100 with Argentinian pesos, it would be the equivalent of like 1,000 of their dollars. So I was approached to be a distributor, which I said, that ain't gonna happen for me, baby. I'm just a knitter. So I'm knitting. As I'm walking back, because it's a walkable city, I went to cross the street. Now, this is something with traveling, or let me take the travel aspect out of it. Making the assumption that everything will be how it is where you live is a learning curve. Meaning, me making the assumption that it was a one-way street and it would continue to be a one-way street was why I was ran over. Because one street would be one way and the next corner following would be a two-way street. So I made the assumption that it was a one-way street. And I'm walking with my yarn. I'm so excited. I have all this brightly colored yarn. In fact, I have some of it here. I'll have to bring it down and show it to you. And I'm just walking across the street, and then I just felt myself being pushed. Now, I don't know if any 240 people in the live have ever been hit by a car or a motorcycle crossing the street. First of all, it's a shock, okay? I did not know what was happening. In my brain, because I'm constantly doing these things, I thought, okay, something's happening. I just felt that I was being pushed. So I didn't know what was pushing me. I didn't actually know what was happening because it happened in a matter of seconds. And so where did this happen? In Buenos Aires, Argentina. And so I thought, okay, whatever is happening, this could be the end. Maybe hope you've rolled the dice way too many times. This could be the end. Or whatever's pushing me, I may not walk again. Those were the two thoughts in my mind. So I was the motorbike or motorcycle, the shield, which would be the windshield, was here. And the rest of the motorcycle was pushing me. So it pushed me and I fell into the street. Now this happened with a matter of like 3 seconds. So once I hit the ground, I realized what happened. And I looked and I saw that it was a motorcycle that was the catalyst for this. However, again, with anything like this, your body goes into shock and adrenaline comes in. So I was just like, oh, I'm fine. I'm still trying to figure things out, but our bodies are so amazing in the aspect of taking care of us. So I did not fully take on what had just happened. So the person on the motorcycle got off their motorcycle and helped me up. Some other people helped me up and asked me if I was okay. And I quickly said, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm okay. Because I was in shock. Thank you, Jessica, I'll see you tomorrow. I just got hit by a motorcycle. I'm on the ground, I'm getting up, but there was no broken bones. There was nothing that had happened to me. So I got up, made sure I was okay, and some other kind human beings made sure I was okay as well. And again, I'm in Buenos Aires. I can get around with my Spanish. It's not as fluent as my French. However, I can get around. And people were like, Dios mío! Like it was a big commotion, but I was okay. So I had to make sure my yarn wasn't damaged though. That was the biggest thing because I came for my yarn. I picked up my yarn and I just started walking. About 2 blocks into walking away from this accident, this adrenaline really hit me and I just started to cry. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just got hit by a motorcycle and I'm here by myself and I feel so alone. Like it was there were many thoughts that I was not in the best mode mentally to sift through them. And I just started crying and just thinking like, look what just happened, and what could have happened, how bad it could have been. And I took a cab and I went back to the hotel. Because again, I was on a layover with the airline that I worked for 15 years. So I arrived back to the hotel, which was quite nice. It might have been, I don't know, a Renaissance or a Hilton. Once I arrived back to the hotel, I had a little soreness in my leg, but I didn't have immense pain. So I called the head flight attendant's room. And she was not there. Oftentimes we would go out every evening and have a lovely dinner. So I assumed she was out having dinner. And so I left her a message on her hotel room phone saying, hey, this is Hope. I've called the crew desk. That is who we call if we have an emergency. And I'm not going to be working the trip back because I was hit by a motorcycle. And as a word of caution, I'm just flying back as a passenger. However, I am letting you know this beforehand so you don't come downstairs tomorrow night and see that I'm not in uniform. I hung up the phone. I then proceeded to call my parents. So I speak often of my parents on the live because I call them my board of trustees. I love my mom and dad. They mean a lot to me, and I trust what they say. They are some traditional, wonderful people, and I am grateful that I have had this in my life, the privilege of having these individuals in my life. However, my mom is my mom. So when I called home, I said, Dad, listen, there is an accident, but I'm okay. All right. First of all, I'm okay. Okay. You got to talk to a man first. And I know how to talk to men well. So the goal was to talk to my father to sweeten how he would relay what happened to my mother. So I said, Dad, listen, I'm in Buenos Aires. I was hit by a motorcycle, but I'm fine. I haven't broken any bones. There's no blood. There's nothing. I got up. I walked away. However, put this to Mom in a way that she doesn't freak out, okay? I need Mom to know that I'm okay because my mom is over the top. Thank you for sharing the live. Please continue to like the live because I've been sharing a lot of these stories because I'm giving a TED Talk. I am a professional speaker and I share a lot about what I've learned in these instances. And I just received confirmation. My parents wouldn't worry. Vanik 2638. If that happened to me, I want you to make the assumption that they've had these calls before. I'm always getting into something, and I will continue to share because these things, my parents are like, what happened now? So I said, Dad, listen, I just got tapped a little, but I'm okay. Let Mom know. So at that time, my mother walks into the room and she has like a high shrieking voice. And she said, babe, what happened? He said, your daughter had a small accident, but she's okay. She said, what do you mean? This is really how my mom talks. And you're welcome, Alfonso. I'm working these out because these will all go into my TED Talk that I'm recording in October. So this is a part of my artistic development of my speech. So my dad said, she was just tapped, just a little, knocked over, but she's okay. My mom says, what do you mean tapped? And my dad said, no, this scooter kind of hit her. She said, what? A scooter? Did she break a leg? He said, no, she didn't break her leg. Thank you, Nikki. Did she break her arm? No, Patricia, she didn't break her arm. Did she break her foot? No, Patricia, she didn't break her foot. She broke her shoe. I know she's mad about that. Give me the phone. And I was. Forget being hit by the motorcycle. These fantastic, they were like gladiator sandals, but they were these Nike, like Greek sandals. I remember I got them at this boutique in Soho in New York in like 2010. Yeah, I did. I manifested it and I believed that it was going to happen. So, it did. So thank you. I appreciate that, Nikki. I appreciate it. I'm speaking for all of us, but it's going to be a part of all of these crazy stories that I get myself into. So the story continues. My boyfriend at the time, I also let him know, listen, I was hit by a motorcycle, but I'm good. He was like, okay. Here's the other thing that comes with traveling. The assumption that technology will be, I appreciate you. The assumption that technology will function the way that it functions in your habitat. Meaning, if you're from Los Angeles, California, you may make the assumption that your phone and internet will have a strong signal wherever you go in the world. That's not the case. In Buenos Aires, Argentina, at times, wait a minute. How do you know? Are those that? They were like lace up and they had slits on the side. They were tan, natural leather. They were amazing. Sodium of the earth. I'm speaking to you. Was that it? Because if I can find them, I'm going to buy some more. I love those shoes. So I let my boyfriend know, yeah, I was hit, but I'm good. My phone wouldn't really connect and the internet was spotty. Oftentimes when you travel, you will learn that internet connectivity is not the same everywhere. So at times he would call me on my phone because since I travel around the world, I always have my phone on and I can be reached in every country. However, because the internet wasn't so great and he would often FaceTime me, it was not connecting. So he made a judgment that I was not okay. After I had spoken to my parents and told them I was okay, I went to sleep. But since the boyfriend at the time could not reach me, he reached out to my sister who lives with my parents and said, listen, I know Hope was hit by a motorcycle. I haven't been able to get in contact with her for hours. It's been a day. It hadn't been a day since he had talked to me. Like, these people exaggerate. He said, it's been hours since I've spoken to her. Okay. My younger sister takes that information, goes to my parents, and adds like 1,000 to it. Listen, Hope's boyfriend said he hasn't talked to Hope in a day and no one has heard from her. And I'm thinking, first of all, I didn't even know this was going on. So it went from I'm okay to my FaceTime isn't connecting. So my boyfriend at the time contacted my younger sister to let her know that he could not contact me and I may be in severe physical danger. And she relayed this to my parents as Hope's gone missing. So my dad gets on the computer and starts looking at flights to Buenos Aires, Argentina. The whole time I was sound asleep. I had no idea that this had transpired. And because I work for the airline, my parents had free flight benefits. So he was seeing, okay, I can fly here and I can be in Buenos Aires at X time. Yes, this was over 10 years ago. So this is fine. There's been several other things that I've lived through since. So fast forward, I wake up in the morning and I see all these missed calls. So I call my sister and I say, what is going on? I talked to you guys last night. Oh, your boyfriend said he couldn't reach you. So dad's looking at flights. He's going to fly down there to make sure you're okay. I'm thinking it's going to take you 18 hours. By the time you get here, I'm going to be gone. All of y'all are putting way too much on this. And I appreciate that you all care. I do. I really do. However, I am okay. I'm going to call him. Everybody can fall back. Everyone can calm down. I am okay. I am okay. So I called my boyfriend at the time and said, why did you tell my sister that you hadn't talked to me in a day? I had talked to you hours ago. However, people care, which that's what I take from it. But the story continues. So remember how I shared with you, I had left a message on the head flight attendant's hotel phone, just to let her know that I would not be working the flight back to New York. I was flying as a passenger because I had been injured and the airline was just going to fly me in a passenger seat. Well, the flight attendant never received the message. And so when we came down for check-in, which is when all of the flight attendants would get picked up to go to the airport to work the flight back, everyone was surprised to see me in normal clothes because I was flying as a passenger. So the head flight attendant said, Hope, what happened? I said, well, I left you a message on your phone. Did you see the red light flashing on your phone? She said, well, oh, I just assumed it was the company, so I deleted it. You just deleted the message? You didn't even listen to the message? Okay, let me give you the message. 2 days ago, I was hit by a motorcycle. This is why I'm in my regular clothes, not in my flight attendant uniform, and that's why I'm not working the flight back. And this is a message to not just delete your messages on your hotel phone. She says, oh, okay. Are you all right? Yes, I'm okay. I'm okay. I think I hyperextended my knee, but I'm okay. So we take the van because I guess she did, because she just deleted the message. Like, you didn't even, nobody knew. Everybody, my family thought I was missing. The boyfriend thought I was like, I can laugh at it now. So yeah, I guess they had a great dinner and went to sleep, but not even listening to the message, just deleted it and went to sleep. So we take the van to the airport in Buenos Aires, which is Antonio. What is the name of the airport in Buenos Aires? It is GRU. GRU is the airport code. We get to the airport and the airplane is broken, so the flight canceled. So I was supposed to fly as a passenger back to the US to go to the doctor. However, the flight's canceled. So now I have an extra 2 days in Buenos Aires. And I had said, you know what, I'll go to the hospital here just to check that everything is okay. Because now I'm here for an extra 2 days, and why not? Great healthcare, and I felt very safe to go. However, because I'm not, my fluency level isn't to the other languages I know, I started to feel unsafe. Because there's a difference between knowing how to get around in a city with a language and knowing how to speak the language and speak medical verbiage. Yeah, there are. Great doctors, great healthcare. There's great doctors everywhere in the world. I don't discount any country for not. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Our exchange rate, because of U.S. currency, is so strong, and because they have a black market with the U.S. dollar, it's quite high. However, I didn't know the medical terms to explain to a doctor. And so I had asked one of the flight attendants, who was the Spanish speaker, to come with me, because I can explain what's happening, but I could not say, oh, well, I could not come up with the exact terms that a medical professional would understand. So she said, okay, how about in the morning we go to the hospital? I said, excellent. She said, okay, I'll take you. Yeah, I have no diagnosis now because this was several years ago, and I'm perfectly healthy in every way. So I go to sleep, only to wake up the next day to call her and say, hey, listen, I'm ready to go get my checkup. And she says, oh, do you still want to go? I said, yeah, I still want to go. She said, oh, okay. Well, do you need me to come with you? I said, well, I was under the impression that you were going to come because when we spoke yesterday, yeah, exactly. Do you still want to go? I was under the impression, I thought we had some clarity. I was under the impression that you were going to go to be my translator because I don't know all of the medical terms. And we came to a decision that that would be most comfortable for me. Did I not clarify something? She said, oh no, it was just that I was going to go shopping in one of the bazaars. So if you really want me to go, I'll come with you. But like, If you don't want me to come, I'm going to go shopping with the other flight attendants. And I'll share this. This was one time where I felt the most alone, because now I am slightly injured. I wasn't limping. There was no blood. There was no broken bones, but there was soreness. And I just felt isolated and alone. And I did not feel supported. She did go shopping. She did go shopping. I journaled about all of this because it was a feeling that I hadn't felt. I mean, imagine yourself being far away from your personal home. At the time, I believe I lived in New York. I can get around in Spanish. However, to explain in medical terms, I did not have that verbiage. And this was like in 2010, I think, 2010, 2011. So even Google Translate, all of these things were just coming about. My mom and dad are in California, and I just felt a sense of loneliness and helplessness, and I hadn't felt before. And it was in that moment that I really connected with that lack of not feeling supported. Because in that moment, all I needed was just a person to be by my side. And that was unfamiliar because I'm such a risk taker. I often don't have that feeling, but I haven't really been hurt abroad. And it stuck with me. It stuck with me because, especially as flight attendants, we are each other's keepers. We are each other's guardians. We are each other's point of check-in. And even that simple conversation of, oh, if you really want me to go, and not going, brought a feeling of solitude that I hadn't experienced. And I remember going to the grocery store because I said, yeah. And you expect from others how you would show up. So I will give my word with the intention of fulfilling my word. And when her word wasn't fulfilled, people just show up how they show up. I do not think negatively of her. It was just my expectations are because of me. And I decided to walk to the grocery store because I love the orange juice in Argentina. The oranges are delicious, and the medialunas, which are these delicious pastries, which are like these petits croissants with sugar crystals baked into them, and they're just light and flaky. They're absolutely delicious. I love medialunas as well as Argentinian empanadas, because Argentinian empanadas are baked. They're not fried, and they're made of like a pizza dough. They're absolutely delicious. And so I walked to that means a lot, especially in every relationship, but romantic relationships with the gentlemen that have been in my life. That means a lot to me. That is one of the biggest characteristics that I will weigh your character on. Your integrity and your integrity of keeping your word, because that's really, to me, what we have in life is our word. So I walked to the grocery store to pick up some orange juice and go to the bakery, and I remember feeling this pain in my knee and crying and just feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm just all by myself. And within that whole scenario, what I learned is, even though I'm this risk taker, you're only as strong as your lowest moments. You're only as strong as your lowest moments, meaning in that moment, what I really craved was that support. And that's what I took from it. Just the support of someone saying, hey, I'll come with you. Hey, how are you feeling? Hey, do you need something? And because I did not receive that, even when I asked, it was an isolated feeling. And I think after that, I made a point to fly with at least one person that I was close to, because that was a moment of clarity of, whoa, yeah, hope. Yes, I am resilient and strong. And well, get up off your chair. Listen, get up off the flow. Make sure you're okay. Make sure you're okay. And if someone needs to go with you to the hospital, Alfonso, make sure they fulfill their word. But yeah, it hurt, and it taught me to just understand people just show up how they show up. I don't say you're a bad person. It was just that in that isolated incident, what I needed was support, and support in the form of just someone being there with me, with a medical professional, or checking in, which I didn't have. And I think I took time off from that. I'm big with taking time off. I will take time off just to sort through my thoughts. And I spoke, yes, so that's when I was ran over by a motorcycle in Argentina. However, I was okay. The airport is one of the safest places, meaning if something happens to you, there's basically a small hospital and medical professionals in every airport in the world. There's also police enforcement, everything that you need. So as soon as I landed back in, I think it was JFK, it might have been JFK or Newark, I went to the airport hospital doctor and got checked out. And I'm here today. So yes, I have been ran over by a motorcycle. That was what I learned. So I learned, look both ways. Don't assume that the street will stay a one-way street, and support is necessary. Support is necessary. And I often will say, I can do it myself. I can do it myself. I can't. Well, file a police report. I was in Argentina. Sure. However, the person gave me, yes. Also, you grow from all of these instances. Trust me, when I walk across the street now, I do this the whole time. Like the whole time I'm crossing the street, I'm always looking both ways. Always. And that builds my armor. This is why I do take these risks. Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you. Yeah, the police report, girl, ain't no police report. I was already at the next corner with a big smile because I'm always positive until that adrenaline left. Thank you for being my armor. Let's see. Then I shared, let's see some other stories that I can flesh out. So this is when I was based out of Heathrow, because I was based out of London. What's up, Chris? I was based out of London, Heathrow for several years. And out of Heathrow, it was interesting because I have a very distinct accent that shows I am not from the United Kingdom. And I remember working a flight. We were going London to LA. It was a full flight, a 777, and I believe I was working in economy. I was very junior at that time, so oftentimes I was working in economy. So as we were boarding, a woman comes up to me and says, may I have a word? I said, sure, you can have a word with me. Sure. She was standing next to her seat. She says, I'd like to speak to you away from my seat, please. And I said, okay, sure, absolutely. So we go into the galley, and this woman says, can you change my seat for me, please? And I said, well, it's a completely full flight. What's the need of the seat change? She says, the gentleman looks like a, you know. I said, ma'am, you're going to have to clarify for me. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Well, I would like to change my seat because, the gentleman next to me looks like a terrorist. Like, what would you say? And I'm a humanitarian, so and Brits are. I have a thing with Brits. So I looked at the woman. I said, "He looks like you." I just need clarification. You want me to change your seat because the gentleman sitting next to you looks like a terrorist? Right. What does that look like? She says, you know. I said, ma'am, I do not know. You're going to have to use your words and construct a sentence that enlightens me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you mean when you say the person next to you looks like a terrorist. She says, well, have a look. I said, ma'am, okay. Do you feel unsafe? Has something happened that you feel that you need a seat change? She says, no. However, he, you know, looks like a terrorist. I said, okay, I don't know what that looks like. I'm going to have to get somebody else another flight attendant to help you because it's already a full flight. You don't seem to be in any harm. And I don't think I am the best person to help you. So let me find someone else. This also is why I am so positive, because of 15 years as a flight attendant, I have encountered quite a bit. Meaning, flying often can be uncomfortable for individuals because it is the one instance in life where you have little control. Meaning, you have your ticket, you have your seat. Outside of that, there's little control of what else. You're often told to sit down. You're often told, when you can maneuver around the plane. And I understand how that brings discomfort in individuals. I've seen it. I understand when individuals have a discomfort with flying. And for me, thank you, Ruben. Thank you. I just flow with it because that was boarding. If I allowed that to change the aspect of how the flight was going to go, my whole flight could have been filled with negativity. But I would always challenge myself to say, all right, I've handled that. I can, what's up, Black Rob? Nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I can offload this to someone else and go on about my day. I do not need to allow someone else's nonsense. For her, it was important. So I don't want to discount her feelings. But I'm not going to allow that to take away from my day, my work day, and the rest of the day. And I remember flying, and especially as flight attendants, we would say, listen, we're never going to see these people again. I'm going to get off the flight and go stay in the Renaissance and have my beautiful hotel with the beautiful food, eat at a beautiful restaurant, maybe do some shopping, essentially getting paid to do all of this and using my per diem to do all of this. So why would I allow someone to take away the beauty of my day? This is one interaction. I get to choose. I get to choose. I get to choose to say, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this. People are always like this. I don't like when this happens. Everybody is like this. Or, you know what? Sure, this is valid for her. However, if I can't rectify it, I can give it to another flight attendant and I can release that. I can let that go and enjoy the rest of the flight. And I carry that through life because every interaction you get to choose, or at least for me. This is why I entitled this live, I Am Toxic Positivity. It's me. It's me. I get to choose if the day is great or not. I'm not going to say, you know what, you made me feel. No one has that ability. I get to choose. I get to choose. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nikki. Hey, that's a blessing. I appreciate that. So, listen, Alfonso, I switched sides. I was working on the left side of the aircraft. I went to work on the right side of the aircraft. I don't even believe she switched her seat. Like come on, girl. No, sorry. Can't switch your seat. I appreciate you, and I'm glad that I'm able to create a perspective shift because that's something I seek to do. Nikki styled you. I seek to do that. And also being a flight attendant, listen, the moment I have my uniform on, it's not that I felt like I was a celebrity, but I understood what it was like to be in the public eye. Because as soon as I have my uniform on, people would come to me, whether I was on the train in New York, walking through the airport, on the aircraft, in the hotel. People are going to approach you. Where is my flight? Is my flight on time? How are you? Can I become a flight attendant? I don't like this airline. And I allowed myself to say, hey, this is on me. I love this career. I love this job. How can I challenge myself to make every day a great day? How can I challenge myself to have an interaction with someone I consider rude, unkind, and not compassionate, and leave that interaction in a better condition than when it first started? Sometimes that's simply not attaching. Because I would say this, when people would come on the flight and say, you know what, I hate this airline and I hate that, sure, okay, that doesn't have anything to do with me. I am just the representation for the airline. You don't actually mean hope. You mean the airline, but it's not actually me. Once I know that, I can detach. This has nothing to do with me. And in reality, so what? Great, you hate the airline? Okay, sure. Cool, I'm glad you got to that realization. I'll never fly this airline again. That's fantastic, sure. Okay. It still has nothing to do with me. I'm glad that you came to a decision that will enlighten you in some way. And I can always choose to be polite. The easiest thing to do is to be short with someone and match their tone. I'm cool as a cucumber, baby. Life is great for me, okay? Let me sip my hibiscus. My goal with every flight was to end the day how it started. Beautiful. Sometimes days were more challenging than others. So what? Take that challenge and make it real. Now that's for me. That's for me. Imagine most individuals at their place of business, I'm not going to match the tone. That's too easy. I'm exceptional. This is how I speak about myself. This is how I speak to myself. If I say I'm exceptional, that means I have to match that in every moment, not only when people are being kind to me. It really means in moments where an individual is unkind, that's where I need to be exceptional, especially in the space of being a flight attendant. So I'm going to allow you to take me off of my good feeling space? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. That's how you get, dehydrated, wrinkled skin. Ain't no way, okay? Ain't no way. Skin's looking clear. Personality is bright. Teeth are white. Muscles going. Got parents that love me. I got people that love me. I will not give you the power to take my beauty of my life away from me, ever. I also have crazy people in my family. So I've honed this skill. I've really practiced it. And it was always my personal challenge. It's never about them. It's never about, well, they shouldn't do this. I don't have the control over what someone does or doesn't do. In fact, I only have control how I will respond. Okay? And responding in that tone oftentimes sometimes people will say, I can't get this one off of her positivity. I'll find someone else. Nah, baby, listen, it's looking good over here. You ain't taking my good day away from me. I remember my dad, and my dad is even more positive than me. And my father was born in 1947 in LA. He was in the Army. He's a Vietnam vet. He was the first to have exactly, Nikki, exactly. And my energy is my energy. It's not for you to taint with whatever's going on. And I don't know what people are going through. I will never just say they're always like this. I don't know. And I've been in those situations where there's been things in life where I could say, F everyone, F you. I want you to feel the pain I feel. No. We're all humans. We're all going through something. I have compassion over that. I do. And for that, I'm staying in my zone. However, with my dad, he would share this with me. He would say, as soon as you raise your voice, as soon as you curse, you've lost. Especially in a conversation, not an argument. Listen, I have conversations over here. We don't have arguments. That's correct. And everyone's going through something. People are losing people. People are going through a difficult time financially. I can assume that that's what's going on in the background, and I can give that compassion. But you're not taking this coolness away from me. And my father, as a business owner, would say that's how you talk. You have to talk to people the way you would talk to a child. Meaning, maybe you need to break down your language. Maybe you just need to speak slower. Maybe people don't actually understand the words that you use. And this is why with speaking, it's so important to understand just because you communicate something does not mean that what you've communicated has been received in the way that you said it. Oftentimes I will say, what did you hear from what I've just said? Oh, okay. Let me clarify it. Because sometimes individuals are uncomfortable saying, I actually don't understand. Sometimes people come from backgrounds where they were told not to ask or not to second guess or question. I don't know, but I can have compassion and I value my communication skills. I say I am an exceptional communicator, which means I have to see, do you understand? Did you hear what I said? Do I need to clarify? What did you receive? Oh, okay, well, that's not what, that wasn't my intention. My intention, and to continue. This is how arguments and disputes happen. Because I thought you said, well, no, that wasn't my intention. But until we have a clear, concise, calm conversation, this does not happen. This does not happen. You know how sexy that is for someone to say, you know what did you hear from what I said? Oh, I didn't know you heard that. Okay, well, here is my intention. That shows an element of compassion, class, and clarity that I just love. Exactly. So we can move forward. And then guess what? I'm going to forget about it. I can quickly move past things. Quickly. I would say after a flight, I would erase the flight. No matter what happened, once I got to the hotel, I would get to the hotel and immediately hop in the shower, and I would say, I'm rinsing off the flight, I'm rinsing off the day, I'm rinsing off any disputes, I'm rinsing off any bad energy or any miscommunications, and it's done. That's it. I'm not carrying this with me. And sometimes we got to check in, like, what am I carrying? Why am I carrying that? First of all, is this mine to carry? Oh, that was my sister's, or this was my mom's, or this was my friend's, or this was told for me to carry. I'm not carrying anything that's not for me. And I got some nice cut arms, but this comes from working out. This ain't coming from carrying yo stuff, okay? Yes. And I still believe that it's still with me. Exactly. You go back to my listen, I'm not carrying nothing that's not beneficial for me. Yeah, that person is no longer here, so that's okay. That's a part of it. Even that, there's so much that I just tune out. Possibly because the 15 years flying, but also just with life. You gotta know what to tune up and what to turn down. You gotta know what to tune up and what to turn down. And I know what to turn up. To understand that some people are just operating out of programs that were given to them. So their guardians, their parents, their family, society. Oftentimes people don't even know. Yeah, I don't engage with nonsense. Listen, I don't engage with what would my grandmother and my mom would say? Whippersnappers will try to take you away from your element. I don't engage. I barely engage with the family members that give it to me. And that's okay. It just won't work for me. The moment that I tune into it, and I learned this on the plane, it starts to grow. I can say, is this for me? Oh, no. This person's crazy. Tune out. Okay, smile. And I also learned from my father, you don't have to like everyone. However, you can get along with everyone. I can get along with everyone. I can. I also learned, because I'm an exceptional communicator, you can say anything to anyone. You have to know how to say it. I love you too. Listen, I'm a master at this, okay? When I say I'm an exceptional communicator, it's more than just what you say. It's really your inner dialogue. And often individuals are running off of the inner dialogue that, you see what they're doing to me? Ain't nobody out to get me. Most of the time, the biggest person that's out to get you is yourself. Is yourself. You gotta listen to it. Because if you're tuning into they said this because they don't like me, well, okay, how do you know that? And furthermore, let's say they do. So what? Do you like yourself? Because I like myself. So if you don't like me, that's okay, sure. But I like me. So what you like or don't like about me does not affect me. Knowing how to say anything to anyone, I definitely refined on the plane. Because I can say anything with a smile. Trust me, it's coming. I'm doing some tweaks, okay? But it's going, I have my hopeful shirts, and there's more subtly coming, along with accordance with my TED Talk. So, I've been writing, there's stuff coming. I put stuff out. I often don't talk about things until they're out. So I like doing that. Trust me, I'm in process. However, I am that. Like, you'll just see and things are out, and then I'll announce. In the meantime, things are coming. However, to say anything to anyone, it's tone, it's cadence. I love that about you, Nikki. That's why you're here. I see you, girl. It's the smile, because I could tell passengers like, oh, I do not like you at all. But I would not say it. I would, okay. Fantastic. Is there anything else I can get you? Great. And walk away. You do not always have to be aggressive. You don't. And I learned this from my mother, because at times I have had the belief that firm power in a masculine sense is in your face, and it's loud and it's brash. But the women that have came before me, be it my mother, my aunts, my grandmothers, teachers, other people that I have encountered, women 20, 30, 40 years my senior, they walked with an element of silent power. And I've learned that power oftentimes is quiet. And it's also knowing when to turn it up and when to turn it down. There's times when maybe that aggressive nature does need to be utilized. It's also who you're dealing with. I have a sister where I have to basically shoot through the roof. I am not that type. You don't have to scare me with a loud voice. Yes. Those examples of those women that walked with an element of strong strength, power, you saw how people talked to them. They would never get out of line. These women, when they spoke to you, they looked you directly in your eye. And their words carried weight. And they used their pauses. And they used pregnant pauses to let the words sit and marinate. It's a completely different energy. And this is a part of communication, knowing your audience, knowing who are you talking to. My father would say one of the biggest fallacies that has been spoken is treat everyone the same. You don't. The way I speak to my niece who's 13 is completely different from a passenger who was 78. The way I would speak to someone who is not a native English speaker is completely different than a colleague in my English class. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Where you been at, sir? Where you been at? And sir, I appreciate that. And it comes from my challenge to myself. Because when I say it comes back to me, it does. You can only blame the outside so much. I got to bring this to me. What have I done? What do I want? What is the intention of this? Sometimes you're the problem. and actually asking myself, am I the problem? Sometimes you are the villain. I have people in my family that it's never them. And we all have these people. And not even asking, is it me? Sometimes it's you. And that's a beautiful space. That's a beautiful space of reconstructing. Or just seeing like, oh yeah, maybe I can tune up. Maybe I can let that go. Maybe I need to fall back and like drink a glass of water. Because sometimes it is you. Sometimes it is me. Sometimes it is me. I know that. And I have found that space to be beautiful. Now, not all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes, yeah. But not all the time, okay? And just knowing. Because when I speak of communication is so much more than talking. And the more that you communicate with yourself, I think it enables the space to communicate with others, because there's underlying dialogues that are running in our brain or our bodies at times, or for myself. And this has also come from traveling and me living abroad, or me learning a language. That's how I learned more about a culture. Being a French speaker, I would always hear people say, oh, French people are arrogant and rude. Possibly. I understand that perspective. However, with the language, there's a depth with the words. And there's such a protective nature of the French language, where words aren't implemented into the French language until they are voted on by like a board every year. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a beautiful compliment. Thank you, sir. That's what I seek to be. And it's sexy. Don't you love a woman that can just talk like this? Oh, yes. And then wear some booty shorts or twerk. You know, I do it all. However, it takes that. Well, it's the truth. Listen, I've always wanted to be that Renaissance woman. And it takes some discomfort. However, I like me. I like the way I talk. And it comes from maybe the people that would say, you know, oh, you talk so proper, you talk white. Sure. I don't think language has a color. That has more to do with how you see people. But I don't care. I was even telling the kids that said this to me when I was in elementary school, I don't care. When you tell me, you told me that last week. Why are you telling me that now? Like that's going to do something to me. I've had to use these words as my shield and my sword. So I take it very seriously. And when I chose to become a professional speaker, I show up as that. However, this is just how I show up. This ain't an act. This is just hope. And even with my TED Talk, it's not like, oh, you know, 10 years ago. No, I will be speaking like this. I will be speaking like this. It's a part of living this, being it. This is in the same way a professional athlete dedicates themselves to their craft, or a musician dedicates himself to their craft of music, or someone in fashion. When I was in fashion, I was dedicated. You gotta live this. And I want kids to be like, yo, I want that. That. Because it's important. It's important just how we communicate. And I don't think there's a wrong way of communicating. Yeah, and I like to say knowledgeable, because education and knowledge are two different things. And I'm knowledgeable because I've put myself into some situations, as you've seen, and I love to learn. However, I also expand every time I'm in an uncomfortable situation. And I will stress that with my parents and with my family, I was in a safe environment to grow my vocabulary and words, and people encouraged me. And I love to read, and even with gentlemen who have been in my life, I love a intelligent gentleman. Boy, if you come up to me with like some books that you're reading, that's better than like a handbag. If we could talk about, I don't know, I don't want to talk about foreign policy, but something of that. Okay, well, you have to throw out like a random word or topic or a country, because I have these stories. It's just that I have to hear something that brings the story about. Alfonso, you give me a word and I'll build a story around it. That's actually what I love to do. Please continue to like the live. That's a part of the TikTok thing. I have not, but I've been to several other West African countries. So there's a story about that. While I was living in London, I would often go to Dakar, Senegal. It's one of my most favorite places. Dakar, Senegal. I've been to Nigeria. I've been to Cote d'Ivoire. I've been to Mauritania. I've been to a few others. However, I would go several times a year. And I would always go to Dakar for my birthday because I loved it for several years. And I remember in Mali, I was in Bamako. And it's a French-speaking country. And really, a lot of the West African French-speaking countries is where I perfected my French. Because living in Paris, Parisians talk really, really fast. They talk the equivalent of like how a New Yorker would talk compared to someone from a small town in Georgia. People in the southern states tend to talk slower compared to a larger city. And I use New York because New York is always associated with fast. So I was like in the bush in Mali, in Bamako. And I would just go out. I would just go and just talk to people because I would always just talk to people. And really like in the bush. Just Mali is the least developed place I've ever been to. Out of all of the West African countries that I've been to, Mali is the least developed. So when I would go, I would have to use my French because often, listen, I'm from California too. I know how we talk, okay? I know how we talk. Californians do talk fast. And also, depending on where, because I'm from the Central Valley. So the San Joaquin Valley is not the Bay. It's not LA. I like to think that these larger cities, you tend to just talk faster. People tend to move faster. So yes, we do talk Vallejo. I know, because that's why I eat 40. Yes, I remember. So while I was in Bamako, I was wandering through like these fields where the local people were just growing their food. And it's quite hot during the day, and I'm just walking around, and I see this guy. He was probably in his 60s. And he says, bonjour. And I said, oh, bonjour, ça va? And when I speak French, you can tell I'm American. I have a great accent. However, I am not a native speaker. And so he says, oh, tu es américain? You're American? Obama. Like immediately, he just starts saying Obama. And the beauty in that is wherever I've been in the world, once they hear me speak with an American accent, this has happened. This happened in China. This has happened several times in Africa, in different African countries. The association is Obama, because the association is, you will know him. You are American. I know Obama. This is the way we connect. And I thought that was a beautiful way of bridging a gap, because he just was just enthusiastic, like, oh, Obama, yes, Barack Obama. And that was the beginning of our conversation. It then went into French. However, he just started in his elevated tone saying Obama. And I share that because that has happened several times. And I think it is beautiful, because just that name creates a space of oneness, of, oh, I know something about you. I can relate to you. I know something about your origin. And then we sat and talked for hours, because I talked to everyone. And so, yeah, that's one of the stories. Let me think of others from, I had thought of, there's some other funny stories. Yeah, exactly. Well, are you referring to the gentleman that said Obama, or Obama himself? Because his first campaign, this is when I was living in DC, and I worked with some grassroots organization, because I had always thought, probably later in life, I will get into some sort of politics. But thank you. I think I'm going to keep it. I've switched from the pink. So I was living in DC, and I said I want to help on the ground with his first campaign. So I was helping with a grassroots organization, and we were like going and knocking on doors, and we were also canvassing throughout DC and Maryland and Virginia. And then we were preparing bags of food and perishables to give to people in need. So this was in November of 2008, and it was quite cold. Maybe it wasn't November. It might have been January. Okay, let's say it was November. So it was so cold in DC, like it was frighteningly cold that winter. So as we're packing these food boxes, I was like, yo, this is cool, but it's too cold for me. Like, you guys don't have any heat in this little basement that we're packing this, and I'm all for helping out the needy, but I'm needy right now. Right now, I need someone to turn on some heat. We're in the basement of some warehouse. It is cold, like it is freezing. I got a cashmere sweater. I got 7 layers, and I can still feel the cold. So I don't know about packing these food boxes for this entire week. So I have to say, I gave up. I went the first day, and I was like, to heck with this. Until somebody brings some little space heaters or them little hot packs that you bust open and you put in your I'm not coming. Sorry. Call me when you guys get the heater. I'm not packing no more food. The next day, Obama came to thank everyone. He came to thank everyone for packing the food, because we had also went and knocked on doors. And I was like, you know what, Hope? See, you learned. You learned. You see? You should have stayed at it. You should have stayed at it. The next day, I said, oh, well, did he bring some space heaters? Because if he didn't bring any space heaters, I didn't miss out on nothing. It was way too cold in those basements. You hear me? And I always share with this. I don't do cold, okay? I've lived in DC. I lived in Jersey. I've lived in New York. I've lived in London. I've experienced it for several years. I love dressing for the cold. I love cashmere. I love fine merino wool. I love an Italian wool full-length coat. I love, so I will tell my stories about the inauguration because I have several stories about that. I love dressing for the cold. I love that. I do. I love a lambskin leather glove lined with cashmere. I love all these things, okay? Do you hear me? I love it. I love a turtleneck. However, I am the best in the sun, okay? So colds will only last so long for me. This is why I moved to Hawaii. And this is maybe why I need to speak about it. I would hear people say, I don't want to live here anymore. You're lying. Because I just said, I don't want to feel this. Where can I'm moving to Hawaii. Y'all want to stay and say this again next winter? I'm not going to do it. Bye. I'm out forever. Not coming back. I'll visit during spring, but you're not going to catch me in New York in January and February. And anyone who lives in New York, I know they say they love New York. They never say they love New York in February or January. They don't. They're miserable. They're inside their apartment, which is drafty and cold, and they're freezing. So there's that. So with the inauguration, I think I was between both DC and London. I'm not sure. But one of my best friends was a news reporter at the time in DC. One of my best friends, she had graduated from Howard in broadcasting and got hired by the local CBS or NBC station. So once the inauguration was going to happen, she said, Hope, I'm going to have an all access pass and we're going to do X, Y, and Z. I was like, cool. It was so cold during the inauguration. Like, that was painful. And I remember, because I lived in Thomas Circle, which is right in the heart of DC, right in the district. And a friend of mine had said, Hope, come to this party. I've shared this story before, but I'll share it again. Jamie Foxx was doing his inauguration party at 14th and Park, which was this exclusive club in DC. And, Convention Center I could walk to Convention Center. It wasn't too far away. So 14th and Park, Jamie Foxx was having his, were you there at the party? That would be something if we were both there at 14th and Park. So me and my friend, gorgeous girl, Colombian girl, get the invite, pretty girls, come on in, go VIP, all of this. So was that coming off the elevator at 14th and Park at the inauguration party? Because that was fun. That's when I was in the streets. I've done it all. Now I just go to sleep. But so we're in the party, we're in the little VIP. It's cracking, it's popping, it's all of that. However, okay, yeah, that was a lot of fun. There was a lot of stuff going on. A lot of that was a blur because that's when I still was drinking. Again, I've done it with the best. That's why I no longer participate in these activities. So we're in the VIP with whoever, and I'm there with a girlfriend of mine, and a certain big named singer's sister was in this VIP. And this singer is known by one name, and she's on tour right now. So her sister was in the VIP. But for some reason, she seemed to have a unsavory attitude. And I don't know her. So I was like, I don't know if she's rolling her eyes at me. I've never met her. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. This is always my brain. So one of my good friends, my girlfriend, we were, I think, standing to walk out of the section, and said sister walks directly towards us and runs into my shoulder, like purposely. I was like, did that just happen? Are we gonna have to fight this? Because I don't fight. I don't fight at all. I don't fight. I mean, if I had to, I will. But I'm not one to just throw a punch. But then again, it's this person, I'm just not going to say their name, you can fill in the blank, who just like quite aggressively shoulder checked me. And I'm kind of dazed and confused because I make the assumption that these things are accidents because I don't want no problems. I don't bring no problems. I don't know people. Like, Hope is all, I don't have beef with anybody, and I don't know you, so I don't know where this is going. And there was that brief look with me and my friend, like, maybe we'll just have to fight. This is a notable fight that will take place at this inauguration party with said person. But I think I just walked away and got another glass of champagne because that's what it was about. It was about having a good time. And that's what it's always about. When I say I'm here to, like, ain't no beef with me. Ever. Ain't no beef. Things roll off of me. They just roll off. Life is here for me to enjoy and enlighten and speak positivity. I don't want no problems. However, I am crazy. So I am crazy enough to say I'm willing to try, and I'm willing to give it my best shot. So that inauguration time was really fun. It was really fun. It was really cold though. I do remember how cold it was. And DC was a great time because being 22 and in DC, dating was great. As a young Black woman, it was fantastic. You have just, it's just a great place, or it can be. And maybe I'll do that tomorrow because Friday is Venus Day. Maybe I'll do like some dating stories tomorrow because I have some funny one. I think you are spot on, and that's my first story with her. I have another one, and it was eerily the same. Every interaction I've had with her has been unsavory, and I don't know her personally, so I don't know why the interactions have been like this. So I don't know. That was the same as when I was at the Amphar Gala. I was at the Amphar Gala in the south of France in Cannes during the Cannes Film Festival, and the table next to me was Jessica White. And I might have seen her at some other get together in New York because thank you. And my energy is love. I'm here for a good time. I don't want no problem. Ain't no problems with me. I have some young people. I have people to handle my lightweights. I don't touch that. Listen, you gotta know who to call for that stuff. But when I was at that gala, I was at a table and I looked, And she was just looking at me and like rolling her eyes. And I said, wait a minute, maybe I do I know her through someone? Because I've been in the fashion industry and I have a lot of great friends that are models. So maybe she recognizes me through like a mutual or something. But then I was like, I don't really think this is me. I will always say like, maybe, it couldn't be, because I don't know you. So I don't know why the looks are there. And I actually felt it, and I turned my eyes away because I don't know you, and we are here to have a good time. We're in the south of France. Where are you rolling your eyes at me for? I haven't done nothing. I'm here sipping my champagne. Come on, what are we doing? Let's have a good time. Life is to be enjoyed. I'm not over here starting no mess, okay? You hear me? I sure am not. Okay, I'm going to close with this story because I've told it before, and then I'm going to go to sleep. So, in the south of France, I was at the Amphar Gala, which was at the Hotel du Cap, Eden Cap. Nice to see you, Lee, and anyone who's anyone is there. And so at this gala, I excused myself from the table with my date, and I was going to the bathroom. And as I go to the bathroom, and it's funny because of who this interaction was with, but this guy has now he's done some unsavory acts. So my story is funny. This is about Harvey Weinstein, and he has been disgraced now. However, my story with Harvey Weinstein is hilarious. So I clearly look like me, and I'm going to the bathroom, and I get stopped by Harvey Weinstein. And he's like, hey, there you are. I'm like, yeah, this is how my life is supposed to go. See, this is how positive I am. Because I'm thinking, of course, Harvey Weinstein, and again, this was like this is when I lived in London, so this was over 10 years ago. In my mind, I'm thinking, of course, Harvey Weinstein would see me and just randomly cast me in a movie, and then my life would just be changed, and of course, yes. In my mind, in Hope's mind, of course. So he's like, I've been looking for you, and I had told someone to reach out to you. So I'm like, yeah, of course. Of course. I don't know how he would know someone mutual to me, but yes, Hope, this is how your life goes. Yes. In my brain, this is what's happening. He said, because I sent you the script, and then I was wondering why you haven't gotten back to me. And I said, well, I wouldn't know how to get back to you. He said, well, yes, you do. Because I'm getting to that, Alphonse. This is the funny part. He says, yes, you do. I even told Jennifer, look, she's over there. I told Jennifer that I needed you for this project. And he points at Jennifer Lopez. Again, I'm at this gala in the south of France. So this is when my brain starts saying, okay, Hope, yeah, now you're kind of dreaming, because there's no way that Jennifer Lopez actually knows me other than the picture that I took with her prior to, okay, so this isn't going in the direction I think it is. So he's like, and so when I submitted you to the studio, I knew you were the perfect person. I just need you to sign on. And I'm thinking now, like, okay, yeah, he thinks I'm someone else, because he hasn't once said Hope, but he hasn't actually said a name. And the whole thing is, this is within like a 90 seconds, like a minute and a half. So he said, what we need is for you to sign on. And then he looks behind me and he does this. And then he looks at me, and then he looks at the other person, and he says, "You're the wrong person. I'm sorry." And he walks away. I turn. Who walked behind me was Mary J. Blige. And I'm like, yo, I don't look anything like Mary J. Blige at all. He thought I was Mary J. Blige. So now my dreams are crushed, and I'm slightly upset because not only do I not look like Mary J. Blige, my whole dream of like, of course, you'll just be discovered and all that. So I'm like, okay, no, wait a minute. First of all, you didn't even know who I am. He's like, no. It was ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous and hilarious because I don't look like Mary J. Blige at all. I don't think I do. I don't think I do, but the whole story is just insane in itself. And that was funny. Not at all. Head shaved or not. I don't. I don't. So there's one of my crazy stories. Of course, that I could see. Yes, of course. But I don't think I favor that person at all. It was funny though, because in my brain I thought, of course, this is how your life is going to go, Hope. Of course, yeah. This is exactly how your life will play out. But it didn't. And I will actually have to share more stories about that trip because that was a funny trip. And yeah, I will, every time I'm coming on to live now, I'm fleshing out a lot of these stories because I'm still building my TED Talk. I'm like 5'8". I'm tall-ish, but I'm not, with heels, I'm 6 foot. So with heels, I'm tall, but most of my friends who are models are like 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot. So I'm the shortest of my friends who are all really tall. But with heels, I'm 6 foot. So that is it for tonight, because I am going to do more writing tomorrow. I'll do some writing actually on live tomorrow for this TED Talk for October 7th that I'm very excited about. And people come and say, Jada, especially since I shaved my head, which I need to do again. And I don't mind. Whatever people think I look like, sure. As long as it means that I stand out for some way. Yeah, you're welcome, sir. You know, I'm in process of making my own dreams happen, and this is my way, with words and encouragement and being that for someone that needs it. Nice to meet you too, Alfonso. So between that and I'm still traveling and building this, and I'm getting there day by day. So I'll be back on tomorrow. I shared with everyone on the 10th, which is next week, I will be in LA at the TikTok headquarters to, I guess, to do whatever I do. This is all, thank you. I appreciate that, sir. I'm here to build. I'm here. Thank you, Alfonso. I'm here to build, and maybe my smart assness and being the wordsmith and just loving to read books and be the Renaissance woman is taking me where I've seen. Yeah. So, be the reflection of love that you are, because we all come from an infinite source of love. We do. We do. And I'm here to remind you. Show up. I showed up in my baby blue terry cloth. Show up. All you got to do is show up. And when I mean show up, it means show up for yourself. Show up for your dreams. Show up. Just show up. Once you show up, the rest is done. But if you don't show up, nothing can be done. And when you show up, make it look good. Don't just show up and shrink in the back. Nah, baby, make it look good. Let us see your glow. Let us see the arms. Let us see the smile. Let's see the nails. Let me see your flair. I need to see you showing up, looking good. Okay? And finally, sometimes people will think you're someone else. Thank you, Alfonso. If someone mistakes you as someone else, it's the fact that they thought you were someone else. I think that that's like a magical thing. When someone says, oh, I thought you were. No, you just needed my energy. So I will take that as a positive thing. And I often do that. I did that like 2 months ago. I went up to someone like, hey, oh, I thought you were someone else. And sometimes it's embarrassing, because I can be quite aloof, and I'll just go and run and jump on someone's back, and then they'll be frightened and it's not who I thought. But, such is life. So do something great. Do something great. You're watching me accomplishing something that is great for me. So I'm encouraging for you to do the same. And get some rest. Don't be staying up all night. Your skin will get all wrinkled and it won't be smooth and clear. You gotta have that smooth, clear skin, baby. When I say show up and make it look good, come on. Moisturize the skin, drink some water, and make it sexy. So until tomorrow, have some hope. Good night.